Alright, hey YouTube, it's White Rice. I'm here with Carlosto, JC, Slurgy, and Tobias, and Woolen Sleevelet. And this is a roundtable video, so we're going to be discussing all the aspects of Spy and what everyone thinks about each weapon. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Carlozzo. I'm from England, and I play in Prem as the sneaky backstabs man.
I'm a kid who lives in California who doesn't have a social life.
My name's Slurgy. I run a popular YouTube channel teaching spy tutorials, and yeah.
My name's Tobias Funke. I use the Kunai a lot. That's me.
I'm White Rice. I'm a competitive spy who's been playing Spy for a long time, and I have a passion for the class.
Oh, hello, I'm Woolen. I just kind of play Spy for the weirdos. That's kind of all I do.
Alright, so to get started, what do you guys think about all the watches? So we'll start out with like the Invis watch. What do you guys on the Invis watch or like it?
I think it's great. All the watches have their own uses. I think the Invis watch is good for getting really far behind the enemy lines and really setting up, big plays that you might not have the chance to set up with the Dead Ringer.
It's quite good at just going like that one pick that you really need to get. Because it's pretty good if you want to be like a bit of a suicide spy and you really need like that med pick. You can get quite good positioning with it, can't you?
I'm very akin to using Invis when I like to time saps and go for NG kills most, because you can really get close to people and do really dangerous decloaks, which can often get you just the best kills.
I use the Invis watch pretty much exclusively. I'll very, very rarely go to one of the other two. I think it's the most authentic form of spy that there is, almost regardless of what knifing. I just think it's the most pure form of spy in the game.
I think the Invis watch is really good if you have really good timing. Because it relies a lot on knowing the exact moment to decloak and cloak, and it takes a lot of thinking that the DR sometimes doesn't necessarily take. It's kind of a different playstyle altogether.
Same is very traditional compared to the other two.
A lot of people ask me about like, oh, why should I use Invis in pubs because Dead Ringer's better, but the thing about is if you play, Invis watch in 32-man servers, your movement that you get from that is really going to transition over to Highlander, and you always want good movement.
I agree with that. Like Invis, I think is a very good teaching tool for spies. Regardless of what you think is the best, Invis is by default, I think, the best teaching tool because it teaches you how to avoid damage, how to go the route less taken, and ammo pack locations, and yeah, very solid.
I agree. It teaches you a lot about the fundamentals of spying that the DR might not necessarily teach you. So yeah, in that aspect, I think the Invis watch is really good. And I don't know, in pubs, since I play exclusively pubs, I find that the better the players are in the pub, usually I'll be going more towards the Invis watch than the DR. So I don't know if that scales more with player skill or just my playstyle.
No, I agree with that because I don't do much competitive anymore. I mostly do pubs, and I play on a lot of 32-man servers, and when they're really good opponents, using the Invis watch is a lot. I don't know if reliable is the right word, but it really gets them more paranoid if you really have good movement and know how to get around them and away from them. I think you'll die less than when you're using the Dead Ringer with good players on a server like that.
I would say it's just easier to trick people with Invis watch than the DR. The DR is more predictable. I mean, you can make more advanced plays with Invis watch, just like mind games with people, making them think you're going in one direction and actually going somewhere completely differently.
Yeah, definitely.
I find myself just naturally being more predictable when I use the Dead Ringer because I don't have I have less mobility, so I don't have as many places to go as I would have with the Invis.
Alright, that's the Invis watch.
That leads us to the Cloak and Dagger.
Ooh.
So how do you guys take the Cloak and Dagger?
Cloak and
Don't
Dagger is
use it in
probably
pubs.
the. I believe the German spy Zegon. He did he did a good video I saw where he managed to utilize Cloak and Dagger pretty effectively in pubs. And it's a pretty nice little mindset video that you can check out. He does quite awesome on a Badwater pub with it. But just in general for the Cloak and Dagger, I think it is probably my least used watch because I like to be quick, and Cloak and Dagger is a really slow pace compared to the other two at least. But where it excels, at least for me in competitive, is I love using it for just comms. It's really great for just sitting in a position and telling my team everything that's going on. And that's a kind of freedom that you don't really get with the other two watches.
It's really good on stuff like Swiftwater and Steel, I think, because you don't have like too many ammo packs on there, but they're really wide open. So it's pretty good for those. Like, I think it might be better for mobility on Steel than the Invis watch, because either you have to give up like your ambi or something and use the L'Étranger, or you can run like the Cloak and Dagger on Steel and get positioning quite nicely. I think it's quite good for doing time plays for like the NG and stuff, and might be better than the Invis in a couple of maps.
Yeah, I think you got to be really patient with the Cloak and Dagger. It's pretty hit and miss with me. I mean, I see it kind of as a novelty when I kind of want to just have fun and not take it too seriously. That's when I'll use the Cloak and Dagger. I mean, sometimes at choke points, it's good to use it to just hang out. And since they're preoccupied, you can set up something nice.
I agree. With the usage for Cloak and Dagger when you want to chill out. It's like I'll be try harding in a pub every now and then it's just like I'm gonna go put on Cloak and Dagger, your eternal reward, and you just try to do stupid stuff. Yeah.
All right. Anything that you think needs to be said about Cloak and Dagger? Anyone else?
It's quite nice that you don't have to rely on metal for it, so it can, like, if you can do it right, you can be quite unpredictable with it. Like, there's a level of predictability with like the Invis watch, because you always end up going for an ammo pack at one end. But, with the Cloak and Dagger, sometimes you can get away, but without moving anywhere at all.
I mean, you can still, since I play a lot of pubs, you can still top score, like, the same that, I mean, I could still top score with the same that I could with any other watch, but it's just like, I find it less reliable, because I know what I'm going to get with other watches. Sometimes with the Cloak and Dagger, you don't really know what you're going to get with that, since the Cloak is so variable.
It's a different time of Cloak management, because with the other two, they're ammo pack focused, whereas the other's based on how much you move, Yeah,
the thing about Spies is, like, you need a certain amount of Cloak or whatever for different situations, and the situations are always changing. So you might need a burst, you might need quickly, you might need a bunch of Cloak, but with the Cloak and Dagger, you're just stuck if you get it low. So that's the problem with that.
I find myself, if I'm just doing like really bad, I can't get a pick on the team at all. They're super paranoid. I'll just go Cloak and Dagger and just calm until the push happens.
All right. So I think that wraps it up for the Cloak and Dagger and Deadringer, my favorite watch. What do you guys think about it? So usually I run Deadringer because my playstyle, I'm really tanky, so I like getting a lot of frags. I don't really focus on getting into good positions. I'm always being really aggressive, but that's just how I play. I'm really knife heavy and gun heavy, but I just use it to tank a lot of damage. What do you guys use it for?
In Europe, you see an awful lot, especially in like Pran and stuff, you see an awful lot of spies just being pure gun spies nowadays. Yeah. Like, a lot of it seems to have moved over from... Yeah, like, we seem to really like our, like, Spy-cicle Deadringer.
Yes.
I think you guys quite like your, like, stock in your Invis, don't you? But, like, everyone nowadays seems to just quite using it entirely for using your gun. Mm-hmm. So you got people like Inso and Solid who literally ran that, like, 90% of the time, and top scored and did all some amazing stuff with it.
Currently, the gun spies at the top these days would probably be Polar.
Polar's so good.
Polar's probably the best spy in Prem currently gun spying. I do a fair amount of it myself. I like doing it. Toast is probably going to up, yeah, he's going to do really good. So yeah, I like to use Deadringer a lot to enable that gun spy playstyle. And I'll touch more on about that when we get to more talking about the guns. But just in general, I love using it for just always ensuring that I'm doing something, because Invis and Cloak and Dagger, even though they can make these like really game-changing plays, there's a sense of unreliability to it that the other classes don't really have. You can't guarantee some things as Spy sometimes, and Deadringer can just take that element out altogether and always confirm that you're doing something if you're playing a gun-heavy playstyle. So I really like Deadringer for just keeping me alive.
Because that thing with the Invis Watch is, if you screw up that one play, you might have spent like a minute or 30 seconds trying to get it, and you're screwed. You've just wasted a huge amount of time. But if you run the DR, if you can do it well enough, or you're playing passive, you can just keep making attempts, and sometimes if you spam it an awful lot, like if there's a dead sentry or something, you can push them off quite a bit. Like some people get really confused, don't they?
Sorry.
Okay.
The Deadringer is a very forgiving watch, but that's not saying that you should use it as a crutch.
No. But I also find it's quite good if you haven't had any practice that day or feeling not too great. It's quite good as just kind of a sit back and shoot things weapon. You don't have to get really into it. You don't have to try really hard. You don't have to, get into the mentality. You need to get these picks. You need to get movement. It's just kind of, like a sit back and hold out the controller kind of weapon.
I kind of agree with the DR. It's like you can just throw on some nice music, chill a little bit. You don't really have to think as hard as you do with the Inviswatch because it forces you into situations. The DR forces you into situations that the Inviswatch, you would have to think about the exact time that you're going to decloak on somebody. With the DR, you can just decloak around a corner and, be fine with that. Decloak next to a metal pack, and you don't really have to think about the exact time you have to decloak and the exact positions. You need to get into good positions, but, it's not that hard. You just run with the DR. You don't have to really manage the cloak as much.
I also find that a lot of teams, especially in mid-lower divs, they don't understand quite what you can do with the DR. A lot of people seem to think that you're going to have to run miles away and hide behind a wall. But then sometimes there's places on maps that you can abuse and decloak right in front of the enemy and they can't hear you. So I've got quite a good few picks, just decloaking in front of them when they haven't expected it.
Yeah, you can also decloak right next to somebody and let them hear the decloak sound and then use that against them if you try and set up a trick stab or something, which is I think why I like the DR is because it just lets me trick stab so much in most of my frag videos. Even though I use the Inviswatch just as much as I use the DR, I mainly show the DR because it's just, you get way more trick stabs, way more fun plays with it. And I think they both watches, the DR and the Inviswatch, they both have their times that you should be using them. Like in choke points, you should probably put on the DR. On smaller maps, you should probably use the DR. And then on open maps, that's when I like to use the Inviswatch. And I'm kind of a big believer in using all the watches, not just using one. So I kind of switch it up all the time.
I think the DR might also make the type of weapons you can use less. You can't use as many. It tends to be quite, ambi or revolver. I don't tend to see many people running it with L'Étranger or anything else.
Oh, let me tell you, my strat for pushing bad water third point, the L'Étranger Spy-cicle Deadringer, pretty much guarantees I can get behind because a pyro locks down that area. So...
Oh god, you're right, aren't you? Is that the bit with the dispenser?
Yeah.
I hate that spot. You can run a soldier with a whip to buddy hop over the top.
Yeah, but my Solly rarely gets into boiler to be able to do that, so I don't know.
I guess Get's pretty good for that. But
I think if there's
overall...
a dispenser at third point, it's just awful because you can't do anything about it unless you taunt killer or something.
We're going on a tangent now.
I know you guys talked about gun spies a lot. I really like to use the DR with the L'Étranger though, and I don't know, man. I love to use the knife a lot. I can use the gun. My aim's pretty good when I start using the ambi a little bit, but I don't know. It's just more fun to get the stabs just straight up with the knife than use the gun. Maybe in comp it's better to use the gun, but I wouldn't really know.
Yeah,
I imagine it's quite good for chain stabs.
When you get a trick stab on someone, they're like, "Oh my god, I love you," but when you get a headshot, they're like, "Oh, nice shot." So I guess it's kind of an ego boost to do.
Do you want to enrage your enemies, or do you want them to respect you? The constant battle.
When I trick stab people, they never say they love me afterwards.
Fuck you, Sluggy.
Face stab.
Exactly.
Yeah, and somebody who does nuts on Slaughterhouse.
When they say BS, that stab wasn't legit.
That's Deadringer then. Rice, you there, dude?
I think he's dead. We have to resuscitate him.
Oh,
Rip
dear.
in peace.
He was running Inviswatch.
Let's carry on without him then. Hope he comes back.
Sad violin.
So, when and why do we change watches?
Oh, that's a
we
good
already
one.
discussed that. Oh no.
You're alive.
So, I mean, I like to. I'm a strong believer in. There is no best loadout. Like there might be some way you want to run more than often, but every watch has its place. If you're looking for a specific pick, running Dead Ringer probably isn't going to enable that. If you're looking to stay alive, Invis probably isn't going to be able to do that as well as maybe a Dead Ringer could. And, I think watches, they each have their own purpose, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I love to switch up my watches. One, like, the typical pub for me would be maybe I'm switching loadouts 3 or 4 times. I mix and match all the time. I think each weapon has its specific purpose. And I think really, I made a video about this, but I think really, if you want to get really good at Spy, at least for me, learning every weapon and all their strengths and weaknesses really helped me become a lot better. I use the DR at choke points, like I said, smaller maps, and then I tend to switch it to the Invis watch when it's more open, when I can move around, when I need more timing, and I use the Spy-cicle when there's typically more pyros, or I just need more survivability. I use the Enforcer when I want to kill the tellies and the sentries really quickly. Ambi sometimes when you can't get an NG, he's too far away, you can use that. The only things I don't really use is the Cloak and Dagger and the Big Earner, which I think need to be fixed, changed. I don't really use the Diamondback either. The Kunai is good for chain stabs or just
Fun.
Yeah, just for fun. It's probably Spy-cicle and Kunai is my 2 favorite right now.
I think the weapon choices lead us on to one big debate between Spies is Revolver or Ambassador.
Ambassador.
Long question. That never has an answer, apparently.
Honestly, I like Revolver. I have pretty good aim, but I feel that the time that I can land 3 shots on somebody is I can kill someone faster than trying to aim with the Ambassador. My Ambassador aim isn't too good, but I don't know. I like the Revolver. It does a lot of damage.
I find myself using the Revolver on like King of the Hill maps because it's smaller and you can put out more damage.
I think the question in itself is a bit inherently flawed because both, like each gun, they serve different purposes. The Ambassador is focused around burst damage. It's more like the knife. You're looking to insta kill people or scare people. That's what the Ambi's about, and it's got like this really long range, so it's not meant for getting up into people's faces. Whereas the Revolver, it's more of a self-defense tool. It's like if you fail to pick, Revolver's going to be helping you out much more than the Ambassador because you don't have to worry about getting that really precise headshot. You can just go gun crazy and just try and hit 3 shots on someone, and that'll probably kill them. It's entirely down to how you like it. I mean, there was the French spy Hard, very good revolver spy, and he made it seem like it was like one of the greatest weapons ever. A lot of it's very hard.
People converted because of him. He got a bunch of people to start playing spy like scout, basically. It's like the Revolver just seems like the scatter gun, and the Ambi's more like a sniper rifle.
Yeah, that's a fun comparison that I hear a lot of people like to make.
I think what I like to think of is like the Revolver is really good just like as an all-round DM tool, but the Ambi is like, even if you don't have really good aim with it, you can run it, because sometimes it's really good, even if you can't get the kill, to at least cripple someone. And like, if you don't use it, you're never going to get particularly good with it. But I think sometimes you're not going to be able to get that medic in 3 shots, but if you can flick 100 on him, your soldier can very easily bomb him. I imagine in pubs, though, like it would be much better to learn the Revolver overall, because like the Ambi takes a fair bit of time to learn, and you have to be in certain circumstances to be able to learn it properly. Whereas just spamming at people standing still in pubs, you might as well just use a Revolver.
I think I think the question is, because we were just talking about when and why do you change watches. I think should more be asked when and why do you change guns.
I agree.
Because I mean, when I did play competitive, I used the revolver a lot because you can just 3-shot a medic, and what's better than that if you miss a stab? It's almost guaranteed every time if you've got good aim. But I'll use the ambassador on open maps or corridor type maps that are easier for headshots. But I think the revolver's a better strength choice to actually pick someone at a more appropriate time.
I definitely agree. I don't think that spies should really be asking, is this better than this? I think they should be asking, is this better for this situation?
Yeah.
I think the revolver is better if you don't need to take long range shots. I mean, if you do need to take long range shots, then why would you use the revolver? You're going to switch it over to the ambassador. If you can get the headshot, though, it also depends on your aim. And then the enforcer, I mean, you're going to use that if you want to. I think that would be a better question, revolver versus enforcer, because they're both for sort of the same reason. I mean, the ambassador and revolver, they're very different, so I don't think that comparison is really a good one.
If I had to make a choice though, between like revolver and ambassador, I would go with ambassador.
Andy makes better frag videos, Carl, so.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like, oh, you 3-shot a medic. That's so lame. Oh, the clutch headshot.
So, that looks so much
sick.
cooler.
Ego stroke.
Definitely. Yes. But no, I really like the ambi a lot more because constantly I find myself at range. You know, it's like whenever you're not cloaking behind your enemy, I like to use the practice of whenever I'm not going behind the enemy, I like to be shooting them. And most of the time when I'm shooting them, I'm not in their face. I'm at quite a range by my teammates. And I just feel I can put out more damage at that range with an ambi shot than I can with a revolver.
Ambi's safer. If you're going to be fighting a soldier, I'd much rather be at like medium long range and 2-shot him than like kind of closest range and hit him with like 4 or 5 shots.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite good if you want to play quite nice and passive. The ambi's quite good for that. But then again, it's also good for being aggressive. So I'm not too sure about that. It's quite good for being a flank class, I think, because like if you can headshot someone, your scout can like really easily finish them off from any range.
The real question, though, is that the ambassador can do this, but how do you practice ambassador aim?
Oh, that's a good one.
Do you not think that was an amazing segue into the next topic?
Such a good segue.
I didn't really weigh in on the Dead Ringer thing much because I'm the opposite of all of you, so I didn't want to get into it. But back when I was trying to get really good at Spy, I named my Dead Ringer Ambassador Practice because I just go onto Badwater and just headshot people for 2 hours straight and just feign all the time. So I mean, I think that's a really good way to practice for when you're really starting out, I guess.
My answer is pretty much the same, Mr. Bias. Just going on a pub and using nothing but your ambi.
Stumble dying.
Oh, robot.
Yeah.
Probably due with the fact that I'm in England. Yeah, I like to just do what Tobias does. Just only use my gun, no stabbing, and over a period of like 2 weeks or something, you should start seeing a big improvement if you just stick to that.
I think Badwater and Harvest are like my two favourite maps for that. I like Orange, but don't count Orange, it's not a real map. Like, Harvest is very good because it's quite flat overall, and it's quite open, so there's a lot of people you always be shooting. And Badwater's just kind of a nice map overall for Spy. There's a lot of health pack, a lot of ammo packs, there's a lot of corners to run around. You can learn, like, you know, waiting for a scout to run around a corner, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with them that just going ambi-only rounds for a long time is the way to do it. There's also other little things, like you can use your strafe keys to line up shots when you're starting out, and, you know, get a good crosshair. Yeah. Those are pretty much the general tips that I would give.
Use a green or pink crosshair, or like a white with a black background. Don't use like black.
Yeah, a flashing one.
Get Stabby's colour changing script. You'll be the best spy in the game.
You'll also have epileptic fits when you play against scouts.
When I first started using Ambassador, like, and then I found that my aim improved. I don't know if this happens to anybody else, but I get to a peak where I'd be really good at it, and then it started diminishing. And then once I switch up my crosshair, it gets even better than it was before. It's just me, but I switch up my crosshair a lot.
Yeah, I switch my crosshair often, but I think something like that's more of a placebo thing. It's like you sort of trick yourself into thinking it's different, and then it's a different experience, and it feels like you're playing a different game altogether, and you do better. And yeah,
it's like a bit of a wake-up call. It's like, I can't be comfortable with this nice green plus. I now have a red plus.
I mean, I prefer changing my crosshair every other week rather than my sensitivity, you know?
Oh, definitely. I think I had that the other day, though. I changed from having like a green dot, I think I neutral solid.
For your if you want to practice Ambassador aim, do not change your sensitivity around. Pick one sense and stick to it. Like, changing sensitivity every other day isn't going to make you better. You need to build up the muscle memory.
Can we talk about zoom scripts and how you shouldn't use them?
Scripts in general, that should be a topic.
Zoom scripts, though, specifically, because I've seen a lot of people that try to use, like, sensitivity dropping scripts whenever they change their gun.
For, like, long shots with the Ambassador.
I know Stabby heavily uses that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of switching your sensitivity. I've been using the same sensitivity since I started. I don't really use scripts. I don't know if that's going to be a topic, but I really believe in those sensitivity changing scripts.
I mean, scripts should be a topic.
Yeah, just set one sensitivity and stick with it. Don't change it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I use one sense, but I use a view model script, so it gets rid of my Revolver. I played a lot of Quake, so there's really small view models, and I don't know, it kind of feels like Quake when I'm aiming at my Revolver. So I mean, that's just
using the railgun.
Yeah, I use a view model script.
Just to round off this topic of practicing ambi-aim, I want to quickly ask the question, Spy MG, useful or not?
It's fun, but no.
It's really good to improve your trick stab game.
Is it? I don't know.
It's good to scare your friends into thinking you're good at Spy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's useful. But then there's spies like Hard and who like swear by it and can think it's like the most brilliant thing ever. And then he's like one of the best Revolver spies in EU Prem.
I think it's just because he's basically doing Scout MG. Though I don't play against him. I've played against spies that he's played against.
Spy MG is just an extension of Scout MG. Like,
just AD spam Revolver.
It's a good way to rank up your strangers.
Oh, it's very good for that.
How about games outside of TF2 to somehow improve your overall aim?
Quake Live.
Quake Live and Tribes Ascend when it was still popular. Those games were fucking great for practicing aim.
Well, actually, I played CS before I played TF2, and I attribute a lot of my spy skills to actually playing CS. Not my aim necessarily, but a lot of the stealth tactics I learned in CS, they carried over to TF2, and I had like a good start, a good base off of that.
And ninja diffuses.
Exactly.
Ninja stabs. Ooh.
Ninja backstabs.
Oh yes.
Trick stabbing people in CS:GO. Oh my god.
Before it was cool.
Alright, so we talked about Ambassador. We're gonna start going into all the weapons and what do you guys think about the weapons? So start off L'étranger.
L'étranger.
I love it. I ran it religiously last season. So
I think it's one of the best side grades. It's a very good side grade.
It's not fun, but it's really good.
Yeah.
I don't run it because I like spamming my gun, but it's really good.
I find it really fun for trick stabbing.
It's not good for guns, though. It's like shooting a pea shooter.
Well, I kind of like shooting it, actually. I kind of like shooting people with it.
I think killing someone with the L'étranger is just as satisfying as killing someone with the Ambassador, because it has its own level of difficulty to actually take down a target, especially like a heavy or a soldier.
I think it's the equivalent of using like a rap assassin to kill someone versus scattergun. Like, it's funny to do, but it's really not something you should be doing awfully.
Mate, can you even comprehend my fan of war kill streak?
Oh, how much was it?
I don't have a fan of war kill streak.
400. Wow, that's really good.
MDM bots.
Oh, so good.
I think really good. Go ahead.
I like to run the L'étranger every now and then for the really big 5CP maps where I don't feel like gun spying and I don't want to admit that I need the Cloak and Dagger. I like to put on the L'Étranger with Invis and have like a good, I don't know how long it is actually, but maybe like 16 seconds of cloak time, something like that. It's insane.
I think with the stock it gives you 4 more seconds, with the cloak and dagger it's 2, and the dead ring it's about 3, I think. It's a fair bit.
Cloak. I think if a lot of people like if you put it on the cloak and dagger, like L'Étranger cloak and dagger, you could essentially turn it into an invis, yeah.
But like, I really like running it, but I really hate running it because I get scared without my gun, because I have like no self-defense tool. If I'm caught out with a scout and the L'Étranger, if he can eat any meat shots, I'm dead.
Yeah, I try to like scout up maps beforehand and find out when I can't use the L'Étranger, and if I'm ever in a situation where it's like I don't know, it's just put on the L'Étranger and let's be safe.
It's also bad if you want to go for the sniper, because like, you know, on process you might want to run it because it's huge, but then when it comes to their sniper you'll have to shoot him 4 or so times unless you're right in his face, and that's enough time for like a good sniper to shoot you dead. So yeah.
I think it's good if you're really knife heavy.
Oh, it's very good for that.
For a while I was only knife. I was really knife heavy, and I ran dead ringer, and I think it's good if you can hit your shots and recharge the dead ringer. I think it's good. It can substitute for a gun.
Even if you don't use it to shoot people and get cloak, you just get extra cloak anyways when you pick up metal, and in that aspect it's really good. And it's also good if you have to travel longer distances. That's mainly what I use it for. You can just get away with more things with it, not necessarily using it as a gun, but for the extra cloak.
It makes you less predictable, because you don't have to go for that ammo pack, you can go for the one across the map.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of why I choose it. It fits my playstyle really well. I basically only switch between the L'Étranger and the Ambassador, because I agree with all that. Like, you don't have to go for the ammo pack that's right there. You can stab someone and then just, book it, and they're completely oblivious as to where you went because you didn't try and go for the ammo pack that's right there, or a weapon that had fallen, or all of that business.
Yeah, and also the ability to just stay invisible longer is going to throw people off a little bit, since everybody doesn't use the L'Étranger.
It's also good for leveling a strange invis watch, you can't forget that.
Yeah, I mean, it also helps your timing. You get more.
It gives you more time.
Yeah, it gives you more time to set up the exact time you want to decloak instead of pushing you out early. You can basically just sit on full metal packs forever if you wanted to.
Because we're like the stock, you can stand in a full ammo box for indefinitely if you time it right. I think with the L'Étranger it's pretty, like 100% of the time you can stand on it indefinitely.
Yeah, it is.
It takes 10 seconds to respawn and you have 10 cloak.
I use that a lot to deny NG's metal because I'm a jerk.
Fair enough.
Alright, it looks like JC has to head out, but we keep on going.
Alrighty.
So,
JC.
see you, JC.
Bye. He left.
No, Enforcer.
Never run it. Because it's banned.
It's garbage, don't use it.
I don't know enough about this weapon to really comment on it, but I just know it's stupid.
It's a scatter gun for the spy, because it can 2-shot scouts. I don't like it, it makes me sad.
I know it's politically incorrect to like it, but I actually enjoy the Enforcer. But that's for usually destroying buildings. I don't really use it to kill people. If I just want to go take out tellies real quick, I'll throw on the Spy-cicle, the DR, and the beginner, or not the beginner, the Enforcer, and I'll just go run straight to the tellies and destroy them. And then I'll switch it back to L'Étranger.
I think
in that aspect, it's good.
It's more of a crutch than the DR is, because the DR has circumstances where it's different to the stock. The Enforcer's just better, really.
Basically, if you don't have any friends, feel free to use the Enforcer. Won't make any, but, I assume if you don't have any in the first place, then you didn't ever want any. So you are mighty fine using that Enforcer. You will destroy everyone, just get a pocket med, take all the Ubers, you'll be a hero.
Do 144 with crits.
And by a hero, I mean a villain. We will hate you.
Everyone will hate you.
But nah, I was always one of those people when it came to, for like fighting games. I was like, oh, don't use that cheap tactic. I'm very much like that before, so I just can't bring myself to use it.
I take the opposite route. I think if it's in the game, why not use it? I mean, you don't exploit it, but they're all tools to use, I think, at different times.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's up to you, really.
So, that being said, what's your guys' take on the Diamondback?
It's like a
How's that
shitty
take on?
ambu.
Don't like the Diamondback.
I actually think it's quite good.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, I think I've managed to get a lot of use out of it in sixes.
It's allowed in sixes.
Yeah, it's allowed in sixes. I've been able to just decloak behind a demo, stab him, and then turn around and just like two-shot the med. And yeah, it's a pretty like I haven't been able to experiment with it much. I think in pubs it's insanely good because you know you just being able to get that stab and just sapping tellies and stuff like that will give you a ton of crits to work with.
Yeah.
And you can really just being able to destroy a fully buffed heavy is absolutely hilarious when you've got like 4 crits stored. It's fantastic.
I think my dilemma with the Diamondback is, I feel like, why do I need the crits when I can just throw on the ambassador and headshot somebody? I think that's my main dilemma why I don't use it.
That's
And
probably why, though.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun, it's quite good. I guess if you're starting out on Spy, I imagine it's pretty good, like, learning tool for just getting aimed down in the first place, because you can reliably kill people. Rather than, like, with the stock, you might
That's
reliably
it,
kill
I
people.
I don't know, man. Those body shots are harder than headshots
I think
sometimes.
it's the Diamondback mentality screws me over so hard.
Me
It's like,
too,
I got
me too.
5 crits, need to hit these, miss everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But
then-
I think the knife heavy spy could benefit quite a lot from running it.
Oh,
I
It's
think that's-
really good with Kunai. I've been running Kunai with Diamondback and Deadinger in pubs. You get a lot of stabs and you rank up a lot of crits, and I use it because if you're really knife heavy, you get a lot of crits.
If you want to have a lot of fun in a pub,
It's really fun.
go get a friend, one of your friends, to be an enemy scout. Give him, make sure he's running bonk, and then just meet him, farm a crap ton of backstabs, and then go destroy his team with like 50 crits.
I think they patched that out recently.
Oh, did they?
I think they might patch that out, yeah.
I do not know.
It was really fun when it was allowed, but I think a couple updates ago they said you can't get crits from like Ubers and bonks and stuff anymore. But,
Okay, don't do that then.
You can do it with a Razorback though, if you have a friend with a Razorback.
And a med
You can
cabinet.
level his strange Razorback for him.
Yeah, but I think Carlazzo nailed the dilemma with the Diamondback. I mean, once you run out of crits, that's it. With Ambassador, you crits all day if you can headshot.
Sorry, I went AFK and I didn't hear everything, but my opinion on the Diamondback is that it's the poor man's ambassador.
Yeah.
It looks cooler though. It used to hurt my eyes, but then I ran it and now I like it, it's okay. It sounds pretty cool as well, I guess. You know? Pew, that kind of noise. Rather than like, you know, the ambi breaking your ears every time you headshot someone.
Oh, I've grown to love it though.
It still hurts my ears.
Alright. Spy-cicle.
Oh boy, this
Yes.
lovely weapon.
You just run it.
I'm gonna because I am a competitive focused spy. I don't play that many pubs. If I played more pubs, I would probably be a bit more neutral on this weapon. But because I play an insane amount of competitive, I will go ahead and say that this knife is entirely unbalanced. It is so good, in my opinion. It is just absolutely hilarious to be able to survive a pyro attacking you, and even having just silent kills in the kill feed can throw people off. I just think it's an absolutely insane knife.
It can be really good if you like. I was playing Asheville earlier, and like there were about 4 or 5 people on point. I managed to kill about 3 of them before anyone turned around, just because there was no screaming. Like people would have pulled it out in Mumble, but there would have been a lot of screaming in Mumble anyway because they were pushing last. So
And
it's
all the
really good for
noise.
that. Yeah, and like the noise for the crackle, it's really not big a deal to be honest. I imagine in pubs it's quite bad if you've got the ragdolls on and people can tell where you are. But then I think that can be a pretty good leading tool. Because you can be like, oh, that pyro's always going to chase me, so I'm going to make a bunch of statues over here and shoot him in the face.
I mean, I think the Spy-cicle is really good in pubs also. It's like, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's unbalanced in pubs, but it's like borderline. I mean, you can just hang out with the Spy-cicle and Viz all day long and just set up whatever you want without ever taking any damage if you're moving around right, if you're timing things right. I mean, it's just a really good watch, I think, with the Invis watch, especially for lining stuff up and just timing stuff perfectly.
I personally love it when I'm just, really focusing on gunning, because it's like if I take two scenarios where like I'm trying to backstab a med who's got a pyro watching him, but I find an opening. It's like if I go in with the knife, but like I screw up the stab, then I've got to resort to gunning him, which I could not fail because of like flames. You know how hard it is to aim sometimes when like the flame is just like moving your like your aim reticule up and down all the time, and the damage. And, it's a panic thing being put on fire. A Spy-cicle can eliminate that for 2 seconds and allow you to just get those 2 shots in with no need to worry.
It's the sound of like sliding into a hot tub. It's like, oh, I can shoot people now.
It does sound kind of like that.
I like that.
I just like it.
I mean, I'll be honest. It does have its own downside. Like, there is an infuriating feeling when it's just like you set up for ages, like you're about to backstab that med, and then just crap.
I think in comp, if you really need that one pick, you run stock. Because if you really need that one pick, you're going to really try and outmaneuver the pyro. Whereas if you're just kind of running around having a bit of a piss about, Spy-cicle's pretty good because you can just stay alive forever and you don't really care too much.
I agree with that. But for pubs, I'd say use knife because it's a bit more fun. Yeah, going for trick stabs and whatnot.
I've trick stabbed a lot of pyros with the Spy-cicle as well. They are not in pubs. Sometimes they're not as good. It's not as fun.
I'm never too pleased when you like stair stab a pyro that knows what a stair stab is with the Spy-cicle. It's like an extra ego boost.
That's like the ultimate shutout.
Like, I don't even need to shoot you. I'm going to kill you with my knife that you can counter with 1 particle. Sorry.
If it's a blind stab, though, they don't even know. So it's like, what are they even going to do?
Look at their amazing, beautiful statue I crafted in about half a second. Oh.
Yeah, and another thing about the Spy-cicle is, even if you even if you go for a stab and the pyro takes it out, usually you can get away by going invis, and you can just get into a better position while you're waiting for it. It's not like you're just sitting there doing nothing. A good spy, when they're going to get shot out with the Spy-cicle, they're going to get into a better position right away, or further back to take out tellies or something like that.
It sounds very good for leading pyros away, because a lot of pyros, most pyros, when they're facing a Spy-cicle spy, you kind of hold the flamethrower around him and listen. It's pretty good if you want to kind of go one way and go the other way, because you can lead them into thinking you're going into that house on viaduct, but in fact you turn around and go up the rock.
Yeah, I mean, you can really mess with pyros with the Spy-cicle and Viswatch. There's a lot of games, pubs, where there's 4 pyros on the other team just spy checking, and they still can't get me because I'm leading them all in different directions, and wherever they're not, that's where I am. So it's just really good for stuff like that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. You guys are all saying pretty good things. I pretty much only use it for what Slurgy just mentioned. Like, there's so many pyros, and you just want to confuse them, make them go the other side of the map, so that you can deal with the rest of the team. I mean, I personally think Inviswatch, Spy-cicle, and Ambassador is the best way to deal with, or to piss off pyros on a pub just for fun.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, if you're leading them somewhere else, sometimes it's even better than killing them because they're just wasting their time looking for you, not doing anything.
Oh yeah, they're not focused on the objective at all.
Yeah, at least if you kill them, like, they respawn and they go straight back into it. If you just confuse them and leave them somewhere, they could be there for a while.
So, that covers the Spy-cicle. Now, going into one of the most underused knives in the game, the Big Earner. What do you guys think about that?
It's good for 3M.
I agree with that.
When that's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of this item, you know something needs to be changed about it. No, I just think the upside that it gives you.
Can we just skip the big earner? It's
Yeah.
not a good knife.
Just going over it quickly, like the upside that it gives you just isn't enough. It's like you're already going to be near, like at very least half cloak just by picking up whoever you just backstabbed anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's really not much point in taking a 25 health reduction for no reason and just getting one-shotted by like soldiers and scouts and everything. So there's just no reason to run it.
The best thing about the big earner is the crafting potential.
Oh yeah. What if you get shot person?
I actually took the time to like try to quote unquote master the beginner. I managed to get 25,000 kills on one.
Impressive.
Yeah, I ran it.
25,000 kills that could have gone on a knife worth using.
I ran it all season, like season 12, I think, trying to get good at it, but it's definitely not worth it.
Admitted defeat in the end, did we?
Yeah,
It's definitely not worth it.
yeah. I mean, that's how people are like, you know, White Rice. Oh, he's that guy who uses the big earner.
Did you watch like Tobias's videos and was like, I want to be just like him, but with the big earner? But then you realise you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I actually made a health hacks video once where in the beginning I previewed that I was going to start a Cloak hacks series using the big earner, and everyone freaked out and didn't understand that it was a joke. Sorry, White Rice.
So yeah, speaking of, that's enough for the big earner. And speaking of Tobias, then, how about he leads this next topic because he knows so much about it, the Conover's Kunai.
Well, I started using it because of my good old friend What's Your Deal. If you guys are familiar with him, he used to
I
be...
miss him. What is he up to these days?
We'll talk about that in personal chat. He's a really good friend of mine, and he introduced me to it, and I'd been playing Spy probably for about 500 or 600 hours at that point, and coming up on like 5,000 hours later, I've pretty much only used the Kunai, just because I've always pretty much been Invis Watch heavy, and I think it's the best watch to use with the Kunai. Just because that buff that you can get from the first stab, gosh, there's so much to say. I don't really know how to start. I think it's great for chain stabbing. It's great for escapes, especially with the Invis Watch, and that's been my playstyle for a long, long time now. And I'm sure I can come up with other things to say as you guys start to talk about it as well.
Yeah, I think the Kunai really, more than anything else, it's for people who have a really good sense of timing, and movement too as well, because you need to move around with that low amount of health, but you also need to know the exact time to come out where you don't take any damage, but you can also get the stab off. I mean, it's a really precise knife, and I think it's probably one of the hardest loadouts if you're running something like Inviswatch, Kunai, Latranger, or Ambassador to use, but it's one of the best also. I was obsessed with it for a while. I used it a really long time, and I still use it. It's one of my favorite knives to use. Yeah, it's a good knife.
And you bring up a really good point too, is with the Invis Watch, gosh, I'm already spacing. With the movement, if I use it a lot on 32-man servers with the Invis Watch, and I really like puzzles as a person, and I think the greatest puzzle for a spy is using the Kunai and the Invis Watch and figuring out how to get around all the damage successfully in order to give yourself that buff and, you know, in order to survive. I think that's one of the funnest things about the knife is it's just a puzzle that you've got to figure out how to get around everybody.
I see your point there, and to a degree, I agree with it in the sense of you know, having fun with it, because in pubs, I love throwing on the Kunai from time to time, and you know, undertaking challenges like that, or just like being silly and just going for trick stabs, stuff like that. But unfortunately, I can't really vouch for its effectiveness in a competitive format. Because even though you can, you know, do these things that you said, like, you know, taking your time and avoiding this damage, I just don't feel the time that you spend trying to really avoid this, these things which will complicate, really is worth the reward that you're going to get from getting the stab. I just don't think getting like a 60 health bonus or whatever it is, I think it's 60, is necessarily worth going through the aggro of trying to get through a bunch of random spam or flanks which are constantly being contested by your flankers anyway. I just find it really hard to get effectiveness out of the knifing comp when I could, when most of the time, even if it's a flank that's less travelled, I almost always end up like taking like 10 damage or something, where I flicker for a little bit of a second. So yeah, I don't know, I don't get that much use out of the Kunai.
I absolutely love the Kunai. You get so many kills with it, especially after you get that first stab. I think a lot of people, like Tobias said in his guide, it's either a love or hate thing, and I think the reason why people wouldn't like it is because they're having trouble getting the first stab. I mean, once you get that first stab, you stay alive for so long, especially when servers are more crowded and you're playing really knife heavy. Chain stabs definitely go off a little easier, and I don't know, I like it.
I would say there's a lot of parallels between the Kunai and the Eternal Reward, which is another one of my favorite knives.
I was going to bring that up. That wasn't on the list of topics here. Your Eternal Reward.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we gotta get that.
We should have switched Big Earner out.
Time
We'll go
wasted.
next. We'll go with Eternal Reward next.
No, well, I guess I can segue that way as well, because I agree with Slurgy. It has a lot of parallels with the Eternal Reward, because you do, with both knives, have to get that first stab, really, in order to be successful in any way. Just, with the two knives, once you get the first stab, your modus operandi is going to be different with each knife.
Yeah, and I think another thing about the Kunai, one of the reasons I really like it is because you can be really aggressive with the Kunai. You can get, especially with Inviswatch, I found, you can get that first stab and then go straight into other stabs right away, going Invis, juking people out. If you can keep that health up, you can play really aggressively if your movement's pretty good and still survive.
Yeah, movement's really key. I think that's the most important thing when trying to use the Kunai, is mastering your movement, which it takes a long time. And for those of you listening who just missed Slurgy's video on movement, watch it, because it's pretty spectacular.
Thanks for the plug. But I would agree, go watch it. I actually, I pretty much said everything that I know about movement I put into a video to try and help, whoever spies, but I'm sure other people could benefit from the video.
Enemy pyros? Enemy pyros?
Well, what?
Don't worry.
So yeah, that's Kunai. Anything else you guys think that
It's mostly fun overall.
It's fun, very fun.
If you want to have fun,
Yeah,
use the Kunai.
Unless you can't get that first stab, then you're not having fun.
Yeah. So Eternal Reward. One big question about Eternal Reward that I see on a lot of Slurgy's comments is how do you get the first stab?
People ask me that so much. And I keep saying, all you have to do is go all the way back to the very back of the line and kill the easiest person that you can first. It's always going to be somebody coming out of spawn, some sniper, somebody not paying attention. You always want to go for the easiest person, the furthest back, and that's usually how you get it. I mean, if you're really good at trick stabs, though, you probably aren't going to be asking why or how you get the first stab, but once you're at that point, you can just get stabs trick stabbing people.
I mean, you were saying with the Kunai that it's a really great watch for it's a great knife for chain stabbing. But I personally think your Eternal Reward is just the best for getting a bunch of different stabs, as long as you're patient and you're stabbing and you know what ones you're not going to fail stab. As long as you take your time with your stabs, you can just go on huge sprees of stabbing without anyone being the wiser. I agree. I think it's a weapon with a lot of potential, and it's definitely one of the most interesting knives, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's another parallel between the the eternal reward in the kunai is you get tons of chain stabs if you're just patient with it.
Yeah, that's what chain stabbing goes like. If I die and I spectate a spy, I'll see a spy get a little bit like overwhelmed when they're trying to chain stab. So I think it's best to just work from like the back towards the front, if that makes sense. So
yeah, I mean that's another point. I don't know if that's a topic, but you should always move from the back to the front when you're playing spy.
Yeah,
of course. But in Highlander, I don't run your Eternal Reward, very often because it's hard to guarantee where you're going to get that first stab. And particularly when there's like a mini NG always around, it's just like it's so difficult. But every like one life in like 100 or so, I'll put it on, and you can make magic with it every now and then. And it's really hilarious to just be able to kill people in front of sentries and not having the sentry kill you. It's such a great feeling, not being dicked over by a sentry.
I usually run it when especially taking out sentry nests. It makes it so much easier to take out sentry nests.
Pubs, I love running your Eternal Reward against NG sentry nests. It's great.
Yeah, that's what I use it for a lot. Is if there's a nest of 3 sentries side by side, you can just take them all out and not even undisguise. It's pretty much the pinnacle of usefulness for the eternal reward.
Another question is what watch do you like running with the eternal reward? I know like since they got rid of the Saharan spy set, you can't run Dead Ringer with it as effectively.
I still use the Dead Ringer with it. Just because they got rid of the noise doesn't mean much. It's still just as effective if you move right, you time things right, you do your trick stabs, you get the stab off. It's not that big of a setback.
Well, for me, it depends on the mode. If I'm on medieval mode, then Dead Ringer definitely. But I mean, if it's any other pub, then I'm usually using either the Invis or the Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger's probably Cloak and Dagger. Your Eternal Reward is probably the most usage I get out of Cloak and Dagger, where I seriously consider it, regardless of what I'm playing. Because I'm really focusing on getting that first stab. The first stab is what matters to me, and then I just think, well, I've got a disguise. I'm basically invincible now. So
I agree. It works good with the Cloak and Dagger. That's pretty much the only loadout I use with the Cloak and Dagger is with the Eternal Reward.
Alright. Now, that leads us into going into trick stabs. I know Eternal Reward requires, or you can do really good at Eternal Reward if you have your trick stabs down. What do you guys think about trick stabs?
Well, just as Tobias was our boy for Kunai, Slurgy is our man for trick stabs.
That is true. What to say? I love trick stabs. They're great. I mean, they're the ultimate like mind game you can play with people, and it's just like Tobias was saying. Like, there's these little mini games you want to challenge yourself as a spy, see if you can not take any damage with kunai. It's the same thing with trick stabs. You want to ultimately be able to trick stab everybody, and you want to find out. It's like a puzzle. You want to find out in which way you can do it. You want to better understand each person and understand how to counter their type of thinking. So it's all about psychology, and that's an aspect of spying I really love, which carries straight into trick stabs. And of course, they're flashy and awesome. So yeah.
They're not useless in comp.
They
A lot
are.
of people seem to say quite useless. Like Matadors are really useful, I think.
They are useful.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the debate on trick stabs is not really whether they're, that question is asked a lot, whether they're useful or not. But it's rather like when do you do them? And Slurgy has like this really positive outlook on trick stabbing. Like he sees it like as Tobias sees the kunai in that it's a challenge. For everyone you come across, it's a little challenge. Like how am I gonna get this stab on them? How am I gonna be able to outwit them and get this trick stab? But for me, I've just got I've got too much of a direct sense of thinking for trick stabs, where I'm just like, why should I, try and go through all this effort to trick stab them? This is why I don't have fun in pubs, probably, when I come to think of it. But no,
I'm not
trick stabbing
having
is fun when you don't give a fuck. Yeah. Oh, welcome
But
back,
I mean,
JC.
you can also use it to, if you're in trouble, though. You can. I mean, you can. I guess in your sense, you would pull out your gun, but for me, it would be like to go to a trick stab. That's what I'm most comfortable doing.
Oh, it's situational for me. Like sometimes I'll go for the trick stab, sometimes I'll go for the gun. I mean, more times than not, yeah, I'll probably go for the gun. But you know, every now and then a trick stab scenario will come up where I just get this feeling where like there's almost zero chance I'm gonna kill this guy with my gun, so let's try for the trick stab. I find it in competitive, the class that I tend to trick stab the most is probably the heavy, and more often than not, it's actually jump stabs, because I just get this feeling they're like, there's no way he's gonna do something this stupid. It works.
I feel the exact same way with heavies, just because, they think like, oh, there's no way they're gonna pull this off, but they move so slow and they're like looking up in the air and they don't know which way to turn, and you can always, just trick them out.
Yeah.
I mean, even when they do turn around, you can like not do the normal one and then like go back a little bit and then like reverse backstab them.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
I mean, for the psychology aspect, I mean, Snuggy's right, it's definitely there. I won't contest that. I mean, I remember playing a game against Chess Club a couple of weeks back, one of our top European teams, and it was really great because we was pushing upward second, and the medic was holding inside the window room, and the heavy was on the stairs, and I decloaked by the window room, not making eye contact with the heavy, and it made it seem to him that I was going for the medic. And then just going out and pulling like a corner, sort of like a reverse corner stab on him. It's very great to do that kind of outwitting to people, and I will agree with Slug. That kind of satisfaction is really great when you take the time to actually think it through.
I think one of the things about better players is they're more predictable than newer players that don't know what they're doing. I mean, with the better player, you're a good player yourself, so you can better understand what they're going to do just by basing off what you would do in their situation. And then that itself sort of makes the trick stabs easier on them.
The best thing I heard anyone say about trick stabs was you have to give the person you want to trick stab something to believe. And I think that's such a true statement. If you can make them believe something, then you can predict what they're going to do and get the stab on them.
It's absolutely true. Every movement you make is making them believe something, and the better you can manipulate them, the easier it's going to be to trick stab them.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite examples, and something I do a lot, is on the third point of Badwater when you go up that angled staircase to the attic. If you basically just walk up backwards and make a good pyro think that you're going to try and blind stab them, like an overhead stab, they're going to just flame their arrows and be looking up in the air, and instead you can blind corner stab them, and they're not going to know what the hell just happened.
Yeah. It's all a mental game.
I think a lot of the controversy over trick stabs and better players is people failing to execute their trick stabs on better players. That doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's going to fail their trick stabs. I know there's several platinum spies, higher level comp spies that successfully execute trick stabs all the time on better players, so I don't think anybody's immune to the good old trick stab.
People really underestimate the speed that's necessary against some competitive players, because they're really trained to be like really on the dime with their mouse movement. You need to be strafing so quick and stabbing earlier than you would like your average pub player, I think.
Well, yeah, I absolutely agree. It's going to be a lot tougher, and you're going to need to do a little bit extra to pull them off in something like that when you're playing against a really good player.
So JC's back. So, you have anything to say about trick stabs, JC?
Yeah. I'm gonna quote Watcher Dill here, and he said, "Part of being a good spy is just having a massive bag of tricks up your sleeve." And I think that's really true, because it's not good if you just know how to stair stab. People are gonna wise up to you're better off knowing everything.
Nothing is more heart-wrenching than seeing a friendly spy with a gibbous on just standing at the top of a staircase. Like, you just look at it, you'll get there one day, bro.
Alright, so, good.
I'll say one more thing, just what on JC said, is I think a lot of the reason a lot of spies trick stabs don't work is they a lot of spies starting out, they think, oh, stair stab, I'll just go to the middle of the stairs and execute it right there. I pretty much never do traditional stair stabs anymore. I mean, you jump off props, you jump off any kind of elevation. I've even, telestabs. That's one of the first, like, really wow moments I had that was defined my trick stabbing. Like, you do unorthodox things, and that makes it much less predictable to anybody else. And some of the reasons that some trick stabs work on really good players is they don't even know the prop is there because they don't know the prop on every single map, and you can use that to your advantage.
I completely agree, and just one addition to that is not a lot of them are going to recognize very, very slight inclines on the terrain, which is just as useful as like a teleporter stab.
That's true. You can use any kind of elevation to get over somebody, and just because you get trick stabbed doesn't mean you're a bad player. It just means that you didn't know every single little, elevation and every prop on every map. So, I mean, anybody can fall for it, if the spy is good enough to, pull something like that off.
I think a great example of a low elevation stab is the control point on Lakeside. It's kind of raised. You can jump over people using that. That's amazing.
I'm gonna start using that.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, see, you find out new stuff all the time because even though I've been playing 3,000 hours, I'm still discovering new things to jump off of, new ways to execute them. It's just never ending.
So, anything else you guys think needs to be said about trick stabs?
I found that I kind of gave up on them and started just using my gun because I had the mindset that rather than trying to have fun and get really into it, I just wanted to kill the guy. So I was like, oh, I feel like it might be a little bit more reliable to learn to just shoot the person a couple times. There's still moments when I find myself using them, but it's most of the time my fallback, rather than being like, oh, I'm gonna try Matador, I'm gonna try and corner them, I'm gonna try and do something really fancy and looks pretty and does the job. I'm just I give up, I'm lazy, I'm just going to go for the gunplay.
Well, unfortunately, with the way trick stabs are viewed in competitive, it's
you get
if you try to go for a trick stab and you bugger it up, it's just you try for a trick stab, what a scrub. But
it's that guy.
At least if you go down shooting your gun, it's they're not going to give it after.
I mean, I think it's funny because I go for trick stabs pretty much all the time, and I get laughed at a lot for trying them, but eventually I get every person, eventually, and it's more satisfying when they laugh at you and then you get them afterwards.
Yeah, that's very true. I agree with that.
I've trick stabbed Stabby, I think 3 times now. And
yeah, exactly. Nobody's immune to it.
Yeah, nobody's immune to it. I've been trick stabbed. I just got Matador the other day and I was like, oh, good job.
So I've got an ego on myself. It's whenever I'm playing medic, it's I'll happily get into Ubersaw fights with spies. It's just come on, try it, just try it, try it.
Prove you can't be Matador.
Once, I don't get trick stabbed much, but when it does happen, I just sit back in my chair what the fuck just happened?
I
think to myself, I should know how to avoid these things, but no, everyone can be trick stabbed. It's definitely true.
Yeah.
We should do a topic on nerd rage.
Definitely.
Alright. Now, disguises.
Scout for everything.
Disguises.
What do you guys do? I know I like to disguise as... it's a habit of mine, but I disguise as people I kill, so if I kill an NG, right after I disguise as an NG.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do, but I know a lot of people disguise as classes depending on where on the map you are. Mm-hmm. So, what do you guys like to do?
I find myself doing scout with the pistol out all the time. I think I overuse it, though.
If you disguise and you hold your secondary out, it's very, very convincing. Demo with the stickies out. The number of times you can get a medic to crit you, if you're in a pub or comp, just by holding out your sticky bomb launcher is immense. You can jump a little bit, look at them and crouch. Yes, let's go crit.
Backpedaling and fake reloading is amazing. It's so convincing.
I mean, with disguises for me, I have just in general, I get this opinion of I should never rely on my disguise. You know, I think to myself, my cloaking is what's gonna get me into these positions to get the stabs and whatnot. My disguise is basically just a function where so that their eye can pass over me and not give a second thought. If an enemy is looking at me for more than a second, it's like, well, my disguise has failed, and it's just a means to like get past a mini sentry. But every now and then, like I'll just decide to to rely on my disguise every now and then and just like try it. And mostly when I'm running Dead Ring, it's just like I'll throw on the scout disguise and I'll just backpedal just while spamming spacebar. And what do you know? Every now and then you'll suddenly find yourself behind a heavy and medic. You just like jump past. It's like, oh hello, backstabs.
I definitely agree. It's a means to an end. I don't rely on disguise at all. Maybe it's something that I should work on, but I really don't care too much about my disguise. It's just something to, I don't know, something to...
Minis don't shoot you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just basically so minis don't shoot you. But I don't really put that much thought into it. I think there's more, there's better things you can be thinking about than what the right disguise is. I try and focus more on the timing, the movement, the location of where everybody is, trying to keep track of everybody. I think the disguise isn't that important. I think the movement while you're disguised is much more important than the actual disguise. Making sure you're going backwards, making sure you're reloading, making sure you're looking, pretending you're looking for somebody, something like that. That's more convincing than having the right disguise at the right point.
The key that a lot of people make is that you're not trying to fool anyone. You're trying to avoid everyone. That's the point of the disguise, I think. You're trying to make it so that you don't draw any attention.
Friendly disguises are pretty useful. Like, if you disguise a friendly sniper, sometimes you'll get their sniper to think that they've got the sniper down, and then your sniper can do stuff. Or, like, if you're running in with the DR quite at the start, going friendly pyro is a pretty good way to get in.
I find it really irritating when the opposing spy uses a friendly disguise, and then I go for a trick stab on them, and they do, like, a reverse trick stab on me. That's really annoying.
Oh.
The best part about medieval mode, it's like, oh, this pyro, what's he gonna do? It's like, oh shit, it's a spy.
Yeah, exactly. I hate that.
You gotta admit though, your opinion on disguises regardless, I think what some of the most exhilarating gameplay as spy is when the enemy does believe your disguise, and you're like just in the middle of all of them, like, oh shit, what do it's so fun. It's like, what do I do now? Like, you've got them believing you. It's like, what do I do? It's so fun. I love it.
You don't bump into anybody.
No.
I agree with Carlotto a lot on that, because acting, because I agree with Slurgy more that in my style, disguises aren't really all that important. I just choose something, and a sentry doesn't take me down, and then, I mean, any good player is going to check whatever disguise you have anyway, so I personally don't think they really matter. But for those instances where you're like, okay, maybe I should choose something specifically, when the enemy team believes you, it is really, really exhilarating, especially when there's a good outcome after.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just more mellow than you guys, but I never really get a super rush. It's all kind of relaxed when I'm playing, super chill. Even in the middle, I'm just thinking, like, how long is this disguise going to last?
You're boring.
Yeah. Sometimes in, like, Highlander, like, on my actual Gold Scrim on Friday night, I disguise as a heavy, and I take out the gloves.
Never take out your minigun as heavy. It never works. I learned that the hard way.
And they believe it. Like, they don't expect you to disguise as heavy, but
Heavy disguise is one of the best in competitive. I've used it so many times to take down the medic. That and soldier, I think.
Soldier's the best one.
Soldier disguise is incredible. I've just been able to. Gully Wash is my favourite map to use a solid disguise on, because it's like we're trying to push last point. All I have to do is disguise as a soldier and just back up through the balcony, and I'm instantly in the position where everyone thinks a solly should be. And it's just like I work my way over the pipes. I spam the medic bind, get a buff, and then backstab the heavy. It's just amazing.
I feel like the disguise that never works is the spy disguise.
Really?
Oh no, people think,
I use
oh,
it
it's
all
so
the time.
sneaky. I'm going to disguise as a spy. No one will expect. Everyone expects it.
It's not
The good thing
worthless.
about the spy disguise is it can be anywhere on the map, and it's going to make sense.
Yeah.
I think, like, I don't know, like the medic's probably the worst one. Unless you're holding your medigun out in a pub. In comp, it's just like the worst one, hands down, most of the time.
I've been able to make use of the medic disguise every now and again because just because of the sheer fact that it's never used. It's like if you know the medic's down, if you can wait like 3 seconds at least, and then disguise as the medic, and then run up to your teammates from really far behind, and run up to the enemy from really far behind, it can work. If you just like spam the E key.
It's just, I think it's the least useful overall.
Yeah.
Alright. I think that discovers this guy who's in. We're going to start to wrap up soon, but what are the best ways to improve a spy? What do you guys do to work your way up to becoming what you guys are now?
I'll start this one mostly because you guys probably won't agree with me. But I think the key, it goes back to how I started it with watch choices, that I think the Invis watch is the more authentic and pure spy. I mean, you have the vanilla set that started off TF2 for a reason. I think using the Invis watch and putting down the dead ringer and the Spy-cicle, in my opinion, if you're having trouble improving at spy, and going to the Invis watch and the knife is really, really going to improve your spy play. Because, I mean, Slurgy and I are similar in that we think movement is very important, and I think Slurgy would agree with me that using the Invis watch more than the dead ringer to improve your spy at least is a better option.
I agree that the Invis watch definitely has a lot of factors that go into improving. I would say that you would want to learn how to use every watch. Don't just rely on the dead ringer. That's one of the things that really helped me, is learning every single watch and all their different little things in different playstyles. And that's what really helped me, just learning all the weapons.
I think the most important thing is to just play. You have a lot of people that think, oh, there's just a quick fast track I can do. I can download this script, I'll become amazing. I can remove my V models, I'll become amazing. I can just use this one loadout. Just by playing, you can get better. Just overall. As long as you're playing something with a minimum skill level of like a Valve pub, you'll be all right.
I mean, improving as a spy. It depends on what stage you are, along a spying. So if you're starting out spy, then just playing, you don't even have to play spy. Just by playing any of the classes, you can pick up what being a spy is about, what the other classes' roles are, things like that. Then you can focus on stuff like, as Tobias said, your movement, getting through the maps, experimenting with the unlocks and stuff like that. But for a competitive standpoint, where I am at least, I find that for me, the most important thing that I improve on is my aim. In any pub or lobbies or whatever I'm doing, I'm always focusing on my aim, because I just have this mindset of everything else is potentially uncertain except my aim. My aim is constant, and it will always be a factor which stays constant throughout every single match. So if I can get my aim good, I will always have that to rely on. And some people have like an opinion of competitive or just winning in general, that in order to do it, you need to minimize the things that you can't control and focus on the things that are in your control. And sometimes you'll be playing against teams where you'll be super shut down by really hardcore spy checking scouts, pyros, or heavies, or whatever. And just being able to have something that you can always rely on is, in my opinion, incredibly helpful. So aim is definitely, for me, the number one thing that I focus on for spy improvement.
I don't really play much TF2 beyond scrims now, but when I do play pubs, all I ever do is just run around on Badwater with like various sniper main friends, and that's just all we do. We just kind of peer around with like ambi sniper rifle kind of thing. So yeah, I think just like improving is to find something you want to improve on and focus on it, rather than just kind of being playing.
Yeah, and one of the things Carlazzo said is playing all the classes. I think that's really important to understanding spies. You have to understand where every other class is coming from, their point of view, what their objectives are. That's important to determine what you're going to do as spy, and lay out a plan.
Like I think playing pyro for a bit is pretty useful.
I agree a lot with what you just said, and something I used to tell. I used to get a lot of people asking me how to improve as a spy, and one of my suggestions was to play a different class, which is what I did for quite a while. I got to a plateau where I wasn't really improving. I wasn't really having fun with spy anymore. So I tried other classes for a while, and then when I went back to spy, I saw a spike in my spy gameplay.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, there was when I was first getting into competitive, I was really gung ho spy. I was like, oh man, I'm a spy main, like playing nothing but spy. But then I took a season off to go play medic, and after playing medic, my knowledge from playing spy really transferred so that I would know when to predict spies coming for me. And it translates to every class, not just spy. For improving for other classes, but just playing med helped me understand when spies were going to come for me, and then after having played med, going back to spy, I could understand where I could find a medic more often at times, and what he would often be healing when he'd be spy checking, and the best times to attack him. So yeah, just playing other classes really can improve your spy.
And another thing is looking at your old demos and analyzing them and realizing the mistakes you made and be like, oh, okay, next time I'm in that situation, I won't make that same mistake again. It's just really good to analyze your own play.
Speaking of analyzing demos for like past play and stuff, what do you guys think on the subject of like mentors? Because I know that's a lot of things that really young spies and me and spies who are looking to get into that top echelon, they really look for a mentor. What do you think of stuff like that?
I think videos these days are replacements for mentors. I would say that you would get a better education from one-on-one, of course, but there's videos that can educate thousands of people just from uploading a single video tutorial. And I think everybody should search videos, tutorials. That's actually when I first started, I didn't know how to use the DR at all. I searched YouTube for a tutorial on the DR, and it drastically improved. I understood it from the video, and that's definitely something that you should be doing, is looking at other spies, their playstyles, looking at videos. You don't necessarily need one-on-one mentoring, but if you can get it, then that's definitely going to help.
I mean, I've been asked for to help mentor some. When I was getting into spy, I had a mentor. But I personally, no offense to him, but I didn't really get that much out of it. And I don't think it was because he was necessarily saying the wrong things, but aside from like some of the basics, things that you need to know as spy, I think a lot of it just comes down to how you want to play it. So I think self-analyzation is much more better than one-on-one mentoring, because the mentor is basing any of his critique outside of obvious mistakes based on how he likes to play, really. And really little micro decisions which you sort of made in the heat of the moment as spy, because it's such a risky class. So I don't know. I think what Sergey said about like videos, I prefer taking the ideas that people put across in like tutorials and videos, and just thinking about it the next time you play is more effective than having a mentor.
I mean, I certainly agree that watching a video, it gives you a lot of time to reflect on what has been said in the video. It gives you time to decide if that's what you really want to agree with, if you really want to practice that. And spy especially is a class that you do a lot of self-reflection on. You do a lot of thinking. You go into psychology and other stuff. It's not really a class where somebody just tells you, oh, you do this, you're doing this wrong. I mean, it's something you have to think about for yourself a lot of the time and determine what the best course of action is for your playstyle.
Yeah.
Psychological.
So yeah, that's I think that's a good deal we got on improvement. What do you guys reckon are some of the best spy maps?
Badwater.
Orange X3.
Upward.
Swiftwater.
Actually, you know what?
All the open maps.
I take that back. Mountain Lab. You guys ever played CP Mountain Lab?
I like Mountain Lab.
That is a really, really spy map, actually.
I actually learned stair stabs on CP Egypt, because the amount of stairs on that map is crazy. But Mountain Lab is just, it's so open for practicing like ambi, and the amount of hills and corners and all these corridors you can go through, just great for learning trick stabs.
I'm gonna go ahead and be the odd man out here. I hate bad water. I absolutely hate it.
You're off the team.
Get out.
Sorry.
Get out.
Competitive has ruined bad water for me. I'm sorry. Third point can suck my dick. Final point really pisses me off.
Tell me what you really think.
Last point's okay. Second point I hate. Third point I hate. First point's okay. But I think for pubs, I absolutely love Thunder Mountain. Thunder Mountain's awesome.
Oh yeah.
And I really, it's not tailored to Spy, but I love Steel and Gravel Pit just for the just because of how team focused it is, and how important it is for you to be doing your role correctly on those maps. So I can really appreciate those maps for spying, even though they're not necessarily maps where the spy shines on.
Steel's really good just because it's quite flat, and if you're playing it with a friend, you can learn how to be a flank spy. If you're going to be doing a little bit of comp, like if you go into there with like a scout or a pyro friend, you can just kind of work out, you can like practice how to play with other people, especially in stuff like Steel and Gravel Pit. Just 'cause it's quite nice with a friend.
I really love Warmfront just because of an open map and has really high elevation, like especially made you can get on top of the house and just drop down. It's always been my favorite map.
It's just a reskin of Cold Front.
But it's better.
Yeah.
Snow
Same
eats
thing.
FPS.
Alright, so Woolen Sleevet has to peace out soon, but before he pieces out, any other maps that you guys think would be good to play to help improve Spy?
One of my all-time favorites actually is Barn Blitz, and I recently just played the most updated version. I think it's B5.
Yeah, I played that.
A couple of different last points.
Yeah, it's really nice, and even the Valve version of Barn Blitz I think is really nice. There are a lot of props that you can use to your advantage, and weird little places you can get into to hide and really freak out the enemy. That's one of my favorites.
If you know the ammo pack locations on just any map you play, then you do all right. As long as it's not Gold Rush or Dust Bowl, then you're fucked.
I played like 4,000 hours of Dust Bowl before I played the combo.
So yeah.
Right then, I'm going to need to head off.
Alright, we'll see you later.
Thank you.
See you
Thanks for tuning in.
Okay,
Love you.
goodbye.
Now I'm the
Bye-bye.
only EU representative. God help me.
Now, for the last few subjects, we have to cover one big factor in competitive, or just pubs in general. The best way to coordinate is sentry push. Like, if the sentry is locking down your team, and everyone's relying on you to take out the sentry, what's the easiest way that your team can help you coordinate sentry push?
Good.
Red tape recorder.
Red tape recorder, screw you. Back when I played competitive a lot more, I learned a lot from another great spy whom I'm not sure plays anymore. His name was Ixer. His big style was Cloak and Dagger in competitive. He used it really, really well for communication, and I found a lot when there's a sentry that's just locking your team down, and you as a spy with whatever loadout just can't time it right with your team and can't do anything really effective, that the Cloak and Dagger is a great way to just hang out, time a pick that will benefit your team and get the sentry down, and just give all sorts of comms that will help you push.
I mean,
Yeah, I
so
definitely agree with that. That the Cloak and Dagger is the ultimate way to just, you can sit there and coordinate it perfectly. That's definitely what you would use it for, is to coordinate something like that.
I mean, I don't run the Cloak and Dagger that much, but I'll be the first to say that. Well, not even first, but I mean, I will definitely go out of my way to say that communication is one of the most important things, and the sentry push is just a prime example of why it's needed. And I don't run Cloak and Dagger for most sentry saps because most of the time I'm sorting something out with my team to like time a sap or something, and it's basically it's like a timestamp. It's like we're going for the attack on this sentry at 30 seconds in or whatever. You're either there or you're not. And I make it a point to be there all the time because I like to be quick. I almost always run invis just so I can get to it as quick as possible. But you just need an open line of communication with like your demo as he's being Ubered in or jumping, or with your Solly or something like that, to just time it so that you sap at the exact same time that a rocket or a stick or a pill's going to hit it. And if you can time that, then the sentry will go down. Bad water first is probably the best example for it. I think for the sentry, if it's in the top left by the top of the cliff. Most lives I just cloak underneath the stairs. I say to my team, I'm ready. I just say sapping in 3, and they've already started their jump, and they're right by already spamming the sentry just as the sapper goes on it. So you need to just talk a lot.
Yeah, I think the best way to coordinate the sentry push is all based off momentum of your team. So if your team's pushing, or this goes for just big plays in general, how spies make good plays, is if your team is you're pushing into them and the other team's distracted, that should be the easiest way for you to get a sap. If the other team's just meandering around while your team's building whatever and they're constantly looking around, it's going to be hard to get a sentry sap and live. So the best way to go, or the best time to go in for sentry saps, would definitely be when your team's pushing in and everyone's distracted and focused on fighting each other. And do you guys prioritize other classes over other classes, or?
Of course.
In general, or in a sentry push?
In general.
I'd say every class has their own time where they're more important, and it obviously differs on maps and all. But for me personally, I find that the outlying class that I want to kill almost always on all maps is the sniper. Any time that a sniper pick is available to me, I'll probably go for that, because I tend to trust in my team's ability to be able to manage Uber fights, to the point where I don't feel like I necessarily have to go for that really risky med pick or demo pick or whatever, whereas a sniper can just ruin the Uber push entirely by just like killing the pocket or the medic just as they go in. So I think a sniper he's almost always at the top of my list of people that need to die.
I think with me, it's always going for the heavy damage classes, especially with Dead Ringer, where it doesn't let you with me, I run Dead Ringer religiously, but it's going for like the damage classes definitely help your team defend and attack. But that's just how I play.
I mean, I think it certainly depends on whether you're sure you can get the picks too. Yeah. If you can't get the pick on the priority target, then you just take whatever you can get. But since I play pubs, it's different. Like in pubs, the priority is usually almost always. Yeah, it's usually almost always the teleporter. You want to take that out first, and then maybe go for the medics.
Unfortunately, for competitive at least, I have I don't know why, but I just have an innate terrible timing for teleporters, to the point where I'm just like, fuck it, forget it. Because anytime I decide to go for the teleporters, the enemy team push in and they win. Just like, for God's sake,
that happens sometimes.
every time.
And then you think like, oh, I was too late.
Yeah.
Teleporters make a whole lot of difference in the game, I think. Bringing the enemy up to the front line. Shut those down and slow down their momentum so much.
Most of the time in a pub, I'll be, back at the teleporters, making sure they're down every single second. It's definitely the number one target.
Yeah, for pubs, I agree with that. The teleporters are insanely important.
Which is something that spies need to start doing. I hate when we have spies on our team, but they're not taking out the teleporters. It's like,
they want those sick med drops, man. Like,
I know.
The electricity that comes off the bottom. We live for that, man.
Gotta get that afterwards, man.
Especially spies that ignore mini sentries as well.
That's, yeah. That's not good.
Competitive when you're playing like a lakeside or a viaduct match, and it's like your scout is just like crying to the team, "These minis are destroying me," and you're just like, "I don't care," because you've got a disguise, like they don't do anything. It's like, get the soldier to deal with it. God, I don't care.
Get good, scrub.
But yeah, that's how it focuses, at least for me.
Well, I think that wraps it up. It's been about an hour or so, but thank you, Carloso, JC, Slurgy, and Tobias for coming in to talk about all these factors of Spy. It's definitely going to help with Spies learning to improve their gameplay.
Pleasure meeting you, gents.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, enjoyed being here.
All right, well, we're going to wrap it up.
Wait. And... Should we all do just like a massive self-plug at the end here? Still plug our YouTube channels.
That's a good idea.
I'll link everyone's YouTube channel.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Am I in it now?
Alrighty.
Okay. That was